We on?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Where's the countdown?
I
No.
said go.
Hello, Wayfarers, and welcome to another episode of Homebrew Labs, the show where we take random prompts to create brand new and original content for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Today we'll be creating an encounter. I am your host, Badger Fallaize. With me as always is our illustrious illustrator, Sarah, and today's guest, Feargus.
Hello.
All right.
I don't know
Just
why I did the
getting
silly
through
voice.
that. Getting
Someday.
through that. Yes.
Someday.
Anyways, today we are going to be creating a brand new encounter built-in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, which people can take and they can use for their own games, for their own campaigns, for their own adventures and one-shots, or whatever they want to use it for. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to build something. The first thing that we need to determine is what type of monster is going to be the kind of main thing that the party will have to fight. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments as they're coming up, and it's hard to do that whilst talking. What kind of monster? What kind of monster they are going to have to fight in order to face this encounter? And it's not to say that the encounter is going to be completely combat. There may be different elements. However, there is always going to be some kind of threat, and that threat is going to take the form of an ooze.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooze.
An ooze.
An ooze. Oozes are fun. I really like oozes.
They
There's some real messed up oozes in D&D. Okay. The next thing we need to determine is what level the party will be at when they come to face this particular ooze. Or oozes, potentially, depending on the level. And this is going to be an 8th level adventuring party.
Nice.
So that's pretty nice. That's a pretty good place for it to be. An 8th level. And finally, we just want to throw just a little bit of a spanner into the works, a random element. And a random element that this encounter has to have in order to make it work. So let us have a look. We are going to be dealing with... Ooh, interesting. In order to get past this encounter, a sacrifice is needed.
Oh.
Ooh.
Keeping the tradition. Nice. Nice and dark. Very
Yep, we
good.
have had the most morbid season of Homebrew Labs this time.
I like it. I like it a lot. No, it's been a good.
All right, so a sacrifice is needed to win this fight. So let's first of all have a look at the different types of oozes that can be there. Something that would be suitable for some for a level 8. And okay, so there is a wonderful... This actually could be quite fitting with the morbidity thing, which is the ooblex, because ooblex are super creepy creatures.
I used an ooblex in a one-shot I ran. They're awesome.
Yeah.
So good.
So ooblex is, for those who are unfamiliar, an ooblex are intelligence oozes created by mind flayers. They fed on creatures' memories. They were capable of using the memories to create replicas of their victims, which they would then use those replicas to go out and hunt other people. It's a particularly creepy monster because ooblex generally will take the form of someone, and because they read their memories and their minds and they know all about their lives, they'll then go out and seek that person's loved ones in their form, and then use their form to lure them into a trap where they will then consume that person as well. Yeah, they're really messed up creatures. But that kind of feels like the best monster to be using for a level 8 party, because a
Yeah, ooblexes are quite a high CR.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
well, the Elder Oblex, which is about the most powerful ooze you can get in 5e, is a CR 10. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. Uh, so let's kind of have a think. So the main thing is, like, in order to beat this encounter, because this is the main thing, in order to beat the encounter, a sacrifice is needed. So what kind of sacrifice are we kind of
Well,
thinking, right?
well, I was thinking if we're going around along the ooblex route, I was thinking it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical sacrifice.
No, of course
It
not.
it could be they have to sacrifice. Each of the party have to sacrifice an important memory of theirs.
Amazing, yeah. I think that's a I think maybe even more extreme than that.
I
Like, maybe it's something very, very extreme in that
can I
this.
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that this creature is, because these creatures feed on memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if we have an Oblex, and maybe, I mean, we can bamp up this Oblex to be even more powerful than what it is, uh, to the point where it should be an impossible encounter. And the only way that the party can actually do to destroy it is not to just sacrifice a memory, but to sacrifice all memory.
Ooh.
As then the creature has nothing to feed on and no reason to attack them. So that was my thinking.
That would be
Mm-hmm.
quite interesting.
I have an idea.
Yep.
And I apologize because I'm very tired and I was reading the chat and I can't listen and read at the same time, so I might have missed a bit of what you had just said. But
Fair enough.
I was thinking, because they devour memories,
Right.
and what if it fed on, at some point, a cult gathering?
Ooh.
And there is an ooze demon lord, and I can't remember his name right now, but there is an ooze one, and that the cult potentially could have been following that, and this cult brought this upon themselves almost. And so you could have a sacrifice within that kind of environment as well. I don't know how it would all work together, but that is tickling my brain.
No, I like it. That's quite cool. I know there's the yuck lol demons, which have kind of oozy characteristics to them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they look like they kind of look like weird yellow trees that are dripping.
Yeah.
They're very, very bizarre creatures, but yeah, I like
Ooh.
it. So
Yeah, no, this is.
the ooze, uh, so kind of like a story context then. So the ooze has absorbed a cult and is trying to uh, perform a ritual to bring forth this demon lord. And because it has the consciousness of all these different cult members, it's able to kind of do that on its own. And then the party have to go in and face this creature. But in order to do so, they have to remove some protections that are surrounding it. However, as soon as they step into the area where they can do this, that creature is going to know that they're there. So in order to avoid being detected by it, they have to submit to a very powerful modify memory spell that removes all, yeah, just wipes all of the memory from their heads, leaving nothing but the instruction of how to, of what they need to do and how they need to do it. And that is literally the only thing they have left in their minds to be able to actually face this foe. Because the ritual to take down its protective spells cannot be disturbed by combat. So there we have, like, mechanically, we can have it that the party all go in and have to like take positions in this particular into the particular battle map, have to take their positions at certain points to essentially dispel these enchantments simultaneously, these protective abjuration spells. And so we maybe there's like a check that will need to be made to actually perform the dispel without alerting the creature. Because once like the spells are gone, they just have to fight this thing, and it's not particularly going to be a difficult fight for them at CR 10 versus a party of level 8. That's not necessarily going to be a difficult fight. So
yeah, I liked, because my idea with it, with the sacrifice thing, was that they could avoid the encounter by sacrificing memories to the ooze, and then it kind of like just leaves them alone because it's like it's had its sacrifice, it's eaten some of their memories, so it's like it goes back to slumber and working down that route. But I like the modified memory idea more,
because it's not necessarily a permanent sacrifice, but it does leave them kind of going in a very strange situation where they're not actually entirely sure why they're there, but they just know that they have to be there.
That's fun.
So yeah.
Well, I was going down the more permanent sacrifice, like that you have to give up a part of yourself permanently to beat the encounter.
Let's see.
Yeah, I mean the only thing with that, and I do like that, but the only thing is because they're going to be level 8 and it's an ooblex, the most powerful ooblex isn't actually that hard a fight for them.
Yeah.
So they could very easily just
wipe it.
Do that. So there needs to be something. The sacrifice kind of needs to be something that is like, this sacrifice has to be made to make this work. Otherwise, it's really just not a winnable encounter.
Fight. Yeah.
That's my thought process, anyways. So,
is this taking place in like a temple? Or
I think so. I think this would be like a subterranean temple, and the party would have been like brought down there along with probably a wizard or a bard who had access to modify memory. And then they could so they're the ones that are actually going to like cast the spell and then stay back. And then obviously, like, because modify memory can go away if you use, I think it's Greater Restoration. It might be Restoration, but I think it's Greater Restoration.
Yeah.
If I look up Modify Memory.
Here it is.
So a Remove Curse or Greater Restoration spell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that's quite
Well,
good.
Because I've just seen in the chat that it would be interesting for the party to try and find out who they were after the Modify Memories. I was thinking that maybe the spell, maybe they're not brought down to the temple by somebody who then casts the spell and then can remove it. Maybe there are like instructions or like a scroll that casts a spell for them, and then part of the after encounter is they're like, wait, who were we? Why are we down here? And they have to kind of like work backwards and find out who they were again.
Yeah, that could work as well. We have like that sort of thing, and someone's putting like having to sacrifice some of their proficiencies.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well.
Which that's kind of like a really cool aspect. So I think I feel like if that's the way it goes, then maybe all skill proficiencies in particular go away when you have your memory wiped. Because at the end of the day, the proficiencies is kind of meant to have a degree of like experience behind it.
Yeah.
What if
and if you take
the mental proficiencies rather than all of them?
Well, the thing is, like, athletics implies a kind of knowledge of technique, like as opposed to doing a straight strength check. That's kind of like, I think what it's meant to suggest is that, like, if you are making an athletics check, you actually have like experience, practice, technique in the thing that you're trying to do. And if you don't have memory of that, then
again, I think a lot of that can also be down to like muscle memory.
Yeah, that's
it's true.
Which I don't think is something that an ooblex can eat, as that is more of a physical, as more of like a physical, just your body does it naturally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ooblex target the intelligent creature. So any creature that has a high intelligence will be a target.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's where you get like wizards in particular be quite in danger in the fight.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's have a look at that then. So it's going to be that all mental skill proficiencies are they lose all proficiencies in any mental skills.
Can I
memory wipe.
Can I kind of be devil's advocate for that a little bit?
Sure.
I think half proficiency would be understandable because you don't necessarily want to nerf all the players when you're going into this kind of encounter, because you build your character a certain way, and it makes sense that some of it would be dulled, but when you lose your memory, there's still things that are there naturally just because of how you are. Different things like intelligence would make more sense because you would lose your memory of history and you'd lose your memory of like nature knowledge and that kind of stuff. But being very
knowledge-based things,
being perceptive doesn't really change based on how much you remember. You're just
naturally perceptive.
It's wisdom based.
Yeah.
Is not.
So all intelligence-based proficiencies.
Intelligence-based proficiencies. I would also maybe make an argument for the survival skill.
Mm-hmm.
Because survival in particular has a kind of degree of knowledge to it.
Yeah. And maybe medicine as well.
Yeah. Like, I think part of medicine is intuitive, like, to imply pressure to something that's bleeding and stuff like that, but to have for survival, like knowing what
Plant is
what
poisonous.
plants are poisonous, and you know, people, you might think you could intuitively tie a secure knot, but unless you actually know how, like, unless you actually know some good knots, it's really hard to just work out a good one that isn't going to be either really ineffective or just completely unable to undo it later on. So yeah, I feel like the not intelligence based skills, knowledge based skills. So history, religion, arcana, nature, survival.
Medicine.
Uh, I'd say that those five you lose proficiency, and maybe medicine is half
Oh,
proficiency, because I feel like there is a couple of bits that are a bit intuitive in medicine,
yeah,
like,
no, that's
you
fine.
know, even like the kind of first signs of society that we've had back in the times when people were like living in caves and tribes were the signs that those societies were actual societies were that they found skeletons with broken bones that had healed from that time,
Mm-hmm.
and no creature does that outside of humans. If you are an animal in the wild and you break a bone, you are left for dead. But the idea that someone would, you know, would like set the bone and then stay with that person and protect them, despite the fact that there was no actual like natural benefit to doing that.
Yeah, okay,
Uh,
yeah, no, that's
so
fair.
I feel like medicine, at the very least, has kind of some
Oh,
instinct to it, but not. So half proficiency on medicine. Um, so that's kind of that kind of brings like that's kind of like a, I guess, a pre-encounter like moment.
Mm-hmm.
So as the party walk in, before they walk into this kind of battle map here, they have to do something that erases the majority of their memory.
yeah.
Um, so let's have a look on this. Goodness me, I have so many documents for Wayfarers at the moment.
All of the documents.
Yeah, so many. Okay, so
Let's do. See, we're making stonework, and there's runes that are there. Is there a centaur? Who? Okay, question.
yes.
Who was this temple dedicated to?
So this has got to be
I
dedicated to some kind of fiend, I feel.
I imagine it if there's an oobleck, it would be the demon lord of oozes, which there is one.
One, but
Um,
at the same time, it could be our own one.
it
Yes,
could.
and honestly, like the temple itself could have been hijacked.
You're
Yeah,
right. Yeah. All
which
fair points.
yeah, which is
All
not uncommon for demons in particular. They'll take freaking anything.
It's just a matter of what the structure looked like. Maybe there's like some circular things over here. Let's make this black and do this. Come on. My computer has been just so slow lately. There we go. So I've made it about 100 feet across.
Nice. That's good. That's a good
Let's
size.
see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Yeah, about 100, about 80, 100. Across
So maybe
and then narrow on the other.
as a thought of kind of like adding maybe another level of potential difficulty to this. Because it's like I say, this is not necessarily a difficult fight at 8th level. So how do you guys feel about also maybe having proficiency with martial weapons at half proficiency? Because the point with martial weapons is meant to be that they have like you need a particular knowledge of the technique to use those weapons to be effective with them, as opposed to simple weapons which are just, you know,
Swish, swish, stab, stab.
Yeah, stab and bludgeon something until it dies. So
I actually have
so
a map from before. And I liked the idea that I had for that temple. Was essentially, it was a temple that was on the surface world, and it actually had like collapsed and sunk into the earth. So it was below ground because it was originally above ground and it fell below ground, and then it got completely disused and
nice. I like it.
So it's like deciding what surface god this could have been attributed to, because that will inform the actual decor and everything and how it might have been destroyed and repurposed.
But that could be up.
Nice.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that could be up to just the DM and whether what world you guys in your groups are playing in.
Like what kind of story I guess they're telling.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really so the party here have their goal. It's to prevent this ritual from taking place, to summon forth the demon lord of oozes.
Mm-hmm.
In order to do that, the ooblex has their protective spells up and should probably kind of determine like what those are in particular. So I feel like there is definitely potentially kind of a way to fight this thing, but with all of the protective spells that it's got up, it's going to be that would just be a very ridiculously hard fight for that level.
Mm-hmm.
So systematically dispelling, which that's an interesting thing as well, like to dispel all of these things. How are the party going to go about that? Because obviously, unless you are a spellcaster who has access to dispel magic, what can you do to dispel something? So I feel like maybe there might be something in this chamber which is actually providing the protective magics as opposed to the ooblex itself.
Yeah, I was thinking something like lodestones.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
Like dotted in like strategic places around the chamber, and the party have to activate them in a certain order.
Or destroy them.
Or destroy them.
Yeah, because that was my thing. Like, if there is a lodestone or an arcane power source of some kind in the room that is providing this protective magics, that the party would then have to find ways to kind of like simultaneously destroy all of them. And so I feel like the party could have like each party member could potentially have a way of going about destroying one of these things. Like a spellcaster could literally just dispel it or blast it with magic. A fighter type could literally just smash it with a weapon. You could have a rogue that uses thieves' tools to disable it, because with rogues with thieves' tools, I believe, are capable of disabling magical traps, and so it'd be kind of like a similar function there. It was a weird thing that I had in Pathfinder with my character because he was part rogue, and it was like I was disabling magical structures with lockpicks. It was like really, it's such like a weird thought, but
scratching them.
yeah. So I feel like maybe
Yeah.
I think maybe the way that it kind of works, and this is kind of like a bit of a free form for the DM to kind of decide in the moment as to like what the effect is that each player, uh, there needs to be like enough of these things in the room for each player in the party,
Okay.
and each player can decide how they feel their character would go about disabling this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then a check is called by the DM that is appropriate for whatever they're trying to do. So if someone's trying to smash it, it'll be an athletics check. If someone is trying to dispel it, it would be like an arcana check. If someone is trying to uh, disable it, if a rogue is trying to disable it with thieves' tools, then he can do it as like a thieves' tools proficiency check. And then it's just kind of like a set DC across the board, so each of them has to make it. If they all make it, then the things all go down, and the ooblex is returned to its normal state without all of the crazy buffs.
Mm-hmm.
However, any of them that fail will be like linked to specific buffs on the ooblex, and those buffs remain until they are able to disable that tower. But then, like as soon as they make that first check, the ooblex is aware of what's going on and will attack. So there's like a round where they all have a chance to try and take down all of these things in one go, and then when that if that fails, they then have to try and do it whilst fighting, whilst the other party members that were successful keep this thing at bay.
You know, this sounds like the end of a campaign kind of thing, where the ooblex is the big boss, and they could probably, even if it knows the party and has devoured family members or friends, and it can use that against the party.
Yes.
Yeah. This is definitely like an end of a campaign, end of an arc boss.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got this. The party sacrifices almost all of their memories before heading into the encounter. The effect that this has is Arcana, History, Nature, Religion, and Survival skills all lose proficiency. Medicine and martial weapons proficiencies are halved. The party must disable. We'll say 4. Like I think 4 is good because generally you tend to have 4 people in a party. 4 or 5 tends to be the average. So if we say 4, and then we can like put 4 buffs on the ooblex to make them crazy dangerous. So if we say must disable 4 lodestones which are powering buffs on the ooblex. So the buffs. So I feel like the base ones are going to be things like we want to make sure this thing has a much higher AC and maybe like a bunch of extra hit points that are being powered by these lodestones.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 others that maybe do something a bit more fancy. So okay, so lodestone 1 gives the ooblex an AC of so like an AC of 22. Give it something like big and beefy.
Yeah.
Lodestone 2, and I've written this 3 times now and just realized that I've been spelling lodestone wrong the whole time. Let me just fix that. Lodestone 2 adds an additional do like 150 HP to the ooblex. Again, just like something super hearty.
Yeah, an extra 150 HP would bump it up to like
265.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
that's
at
a
level 8,
hardy monster.
It's a hearty monster, particularly for that level. So what else can we? What else could we use to like? What else could we give it?
And I had thought that the ooblex, the elder ooblex, can cast naturally like hypnotic pattern and hallucinatory terrain, like just like naturally, but it can only do it 3 times a day. And I was thinking that maybe 2 of the lone stones allow it so that to keep those 2 effects up permanently, or at least for a slightly extended period of time, so that the party have that extra obstacle to overcome.
Interesting. So the it's
Yeah,
kind of the lodestone is creating like a permanent. One of them's creating a permanent hypnotic pattern.
yeah,
Yeah, I kind of like that. I don't know about the hallucinatory terrain because I don't feel like hallucinatory terrain would be super effective against party members. And also because of the terrain that we've actually got here by the looks of it, there's because it's like it looks pretty straightforward. Like there doesn't seem to be any like major
yeah,
drops or anything like that,
I mean, we could make
which
it
you would
more.
usually cover. But hypnotic pattern is super good because um that incapacitates people.
Yeah.
So that could be a very good one to have. So, all right, lodestone 3 creates a permanent hypnotic pattern in the center of the room. save DC will be 18, as that is the Oblex's save DC anyway. And lodestone 4. So looking at the way they've kind of built this character, this monster, one of the things it has on here is the aversion to fire, which is like that's a big weakness for it. It doesn't take extra damage, but if it takes fire damage, it gets disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks on its next turn. And if the party are going in knowing that they're going to be fighting one of these things, that might be something that they'd be looking to use.
So maybe like a super powerful.
I was thinking maybe this thing has fire absorption when it has the 4th lodestone active. So instead of taking fire damage, it heals from fire damage.
That's super interesting.
Because I've done that with monsters before, and it's a lot of fun. Because people are just like, "Oh, I'm going to hit it with this because this seems like something that would be good," and it's just like, "Cool, you hit it with that, and it's just healed all of that damage that you dealt.
Yeah. I had a DM that put a Neil bog in front of us, and none of the party knew what it was, and every time we hit it, it just healed. I was like, damn it, why isn't it dying? And then somebody cast like a healing spell on it, and it died.
Yeah, it's one of the things. It's one of the things that's kind of missing in 5e with undead, because it used to be that if you cast healing magic on undead, it would damage them, and if you did negative energy damage, not necrotic, because that's kind of like a different thing, but like if you were to do an inflict wound spell, which technically in old school D&D did basically negative energy damage, that would instead heal it, because healing was considered positive energy and inflicting was considered negative energy, and you could do clerics had an ability which was called channel energy, which essentially was they just have a radius around them that they would channel positive energy to, and everyone in that area would heal. It's a really effective way of like healing a massive party, was just to channel those healings. So that's it is something that is a miss in 5e, is the effect that inflict wounds is supposed to have on undead.
Yeah.
So and removes its fire aversion. Okay, so we've got what the 4 lodestones do. So the lodestones can be dispelled in a number of ways. Allow the party to come up with their own ideas, and then make a skill check appropriate based on what they choose. For these skill checks and this is going to be an interesting one, because this is the point at 8th level, proficiency bonus is +3.
Yeah.
So,
but if you've got casters, you're taking that. You're more likely.
You're taking a lot of that away, and
unless
so,
of course you've got something like a bard or a sorcerer. because
Yeah. But it's going to be it's kind of like an interesting one. But yeah, so my thought for it was the DC would be set at maybe a 15. Because at level 8 you've already had 2 ability score improvements, so it's not unrealistic for someone to have a +5 in an ability score at that point. In fact, it's very
it's more,
depending on
yeah,
it's quite likely that people will have that. Which means that then it's an average roll to be able to succeed if you end up having to do a straight ability roll. Because we're taking away some proficiencies before this encounter. So yeah, that kind of feels right, I feel like. So it's 15 on those skill checks. Once the first attempt at the checks are made, the ooblex will attack any of the lodestones that are disabled. Those buffs go down. Any lodestones that remain, those buffs also remain. So
until the lodestones are destroyed.
Remain, those buffs remain. The party members can make further attempts to disable the remaining lodestones if there are any. However, if they are hit by the ooblex, the check. I'm trying to think, like, either the check automatically fails or the check DC goes up. I feel like maybe the check DC just goes up.
Yeah.
So the check DC goes up to 20.
Oh, okay.
I was going to go like straight up to 20.
Yeah, no, do it.
Because it kind of entices the party members who have succeeded, the ones that aren't making the checks, to try and draw the ooblex into attacking them instead. And kind of like you can play that quite strategically to try and get all of them down. And yeah, no, I feel like that kind of like I feel like that really works just on
As
the
it is,
as is, yeah. I feel like that's a solid encounter.
No, it is. It's
I can't think of anything that you could add to it that would really like make a make a big improvement on it.
no.
I feel like that kind of as is pretty solid. The map looks absolutely awesome, Sarah.
Yeah, it does. It looks.
God, because I do like terrain stuff sometimes on Photoshop, and I cannot for the life of me get stone texture to look really decent. Like particularly when it's like maybe like cobblestone or like paved stone, I just cannot. But at the same time, I don't have a stylus. I'm just using a mouse, but it's still like that still looks so good.
Thank you. It's awesome and comes with really nice brushes. That's all I gotta say.
Fair enough. So we have our encounter. We have a really great encounter. This battle map is going to look super cool when we actually like get a chance to run it. Still have to run the other one first so that we can test play that one as well.
Finish the map. This is essentially
I
a
don't know what
sketch.
the other one was. I wasn't here for that one.
The other one was the other one I created with Josiah, which was the volcano.
Oh,
I can give you a little peek of what that looks like at
the
this
volcano
point.
one.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That one as well. That had a lot more elements to it as well. That one,
Yeah,
that one got kind of like crazy with like different layers of things and
that's where it's
things that were happening. But I feel like
currently
this
at.
is
This is the nice
whereas
thing.
I've done a lot of work on it since the stream. That's right. There's a little bit of a buffer.
yeah. This is
Just waiting for the stream to catch up
Yeah,
now.
that's fair.
Whoa.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
That
it.
is,
I think my children
That's
do the
impressive.
happy faces on there.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's the last one. Still in progress. Lava's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not you're not wrong.
And yeah.
But that looks really cool and is as well. It's the battle maps are so much fun to do. I really love that part of I really love that part of D&D is making cool battle maps. As
yeah.
anyone who saw the battle royale will know, because I, other than the trees and the spinning arcane circle in the middle, I custom painted every single terrain piece for that.
And doing
That's
that
it. I didn't get to see more of that battle map.
It's you will get to see it on the next one when the other teams play because the Twitch stream will show all of it.
Yep.
That's why we'll watch the next one because I saw none. I saw my team's opening cage. I saw about 5 feet of the battle map in front of it, and then I was dead. And I was like, okay, I see nothing now.
That's true. That was sad. Sad times for Elliot.
Yeah, Elliot didn't last too long,
No.
but that's fine.
But there's always next time, and it'll be a different battle map next time as well. Gonna do.
I'm looking forward to seeing none of that either.
I'm sure they're not gonna kill you straight away twice, surely.
It's a different team.
No, in my luck. No, in my luck.
There we go.
I will just get horrible, horrible rolls.
Yeah, that does throw like any balancing you do as a GM. Bad rolls can really just mess up an entire fight for you.
It can do.
I just remember one of my favorite lines from Fantasy High, just being that one of the characters was I think like stunned or something like that, or frightened, and was just unable to contribute to the fight. And I think it was the cleric as well. So it was like they had no healing magic for most of the fight, and the GM was just sat there, just kind of going. I was like, "What's your ability? What's your modifier in that? Is it like that's a reasonable number. There is no reason you haven't made this saving throw yet. Like, absolutely no reason why we're 7 rounds in and you still haven't made the saving throw. That's insane." And sometimes that just happens.
No, sometimes, it is just, oh, cool, yeah. I'm going to roll 4 4s in a row and do nothing for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah. I always love when I do the encounters in your in the Ever Chosen campaign, because I'm pretty much always last in initiative. Other than I think 1 or 2 cases, I'm almost always last in initiative because I have a -2. And so I usually only get like 1 turn in combat.
Yeah, also because you have a barbarian and a fighter in that group.
Yeah.
So combat's over pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you can throw more stuff at us, I think. Like,
don't worry, there are plans to start throwing some
the amount of damage output the fighters can do is kind of crazy.
But yeah,
But yeah, it is a lot of fun. Like occasionally, I like it. This character is built for buffing. She is built for support, but
and she can't do it because she's always last.
she's always last, so it doesn't really come up. And then it's something. I think it was like the last fight we were in. It's just like I have all these kind of buffing spells, and we're all inside this protective dome in this fight. It's like, but I really want to just shoot something. I want to fire a spell at something and kill it, or do something to really mess with it. So I'm going to dispel the protective bubble that we're all in, and and then I'm going,
I'm so
and then
glad.
I
I'm
cast
so glad you
blindness.
did that. Yeah, I'm so glad you did that because I was like, I bought one of the NPCs I bought to that fight. I was like, okay, he has dispel magic, and if they just sit inside that dome, he will just use it.
Yeah, I mean it's completely fair, and he wouldn't even have to roll because it's only a third level spell.
Yep.
But yeah, it's that was a fun encounter. I just blinded the main villain in that encounter, and
I think
it just couldn't make the saving throw again. Like just 3 rounds of it not making a saving throw.
yeah, no, it was just okay. It had a decent stat for wisdom, and it was just like, oh, it's just gonna roll threes.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
I think I forced it to fail the first time
You did
with
because
divination
you're
with
a divination wizard.
because I'm a divination wizard.
No. No.
But yeah, that was yeah. But all the other times it was just like, okay, this I can at very least knacker this thing for 1 round.
And it was just kind of blindly walking on the battle map because it couldn't see anything. Which was like, oh,
Yeah,
this
and
is not fun. It had
it
blind
had
sight,
blindsight, but
but it only had
it
blind
was
sight out to like 10
10
feet.
feet.
And
Yeah, 10
you
feet.
guys you guys were all like 20 feet away from it. So it's like it can't see anybody. It's walking into trees. It's
Yeah, that was a fun fight.
I think the most fun I've had running an encounter in that campaign was the
Was it
fight
was
in
it
the courtyard
the fight in the courtyard? Which one was that? That was
where you fought
Oh, was that where we when the Queen was fighting with us?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a lot of
That
fun.
that was a fight where I did one thing, which was cast haste on the barbarian, and then the fight was over.
Yeah,
So that was
yeah.
yeah, that was quite fun. I mean, I know it wasn't as fun for you, but the hasted fighter
Oh my
fight
god, that encounter was mental.
that was great because
Hi, yes, I am a hasted fighter. I am here to end all of your
well,
encounters.
we had every disadvantage at the beginning, right? Because only
Yeah,
two
no,
of the party
yeah,
members were in
and
the fight.
they were getting wrecked,
Yeah,
and
uh,
then you arrived with your hasted fighter and ended the
I
combat.
well, we were like 2 rounds away, and I was just like, okay, I cast haste on the fighter, and then the fighter was 1 round away, and went in and just
Killed three
oh
people in 6 seconds.
yeah, just that. I think that 1 round was like the number of opponents went down by half because that was also I think the round where the where Cultist Badger happened.
Yeah,
So
Cultist Beaver happened in that round as well,
Cultist Beaver, yeah, Cultist Beaver.
which was another instant of oh, he's not made his save.
Yep.
Cool. And then I kind of suddenly realized, oh, he's not made his save. Oh no, he's gone.
That's
But no,
God.
the fight with the Queen and the cult leader was super fun because I was just like, yeah, no, this guy is just pissed, and he no longer is going to pretend So he's just going to try and kill everybody. And then the queen started to attack him, and he was like, "I'm going to run away," and he ran away.
Yeah. So, anyways, so this looks
super cool.
super cool. You got like the glow
we've been rambling about a campaign.
About
a campaign that only we care about. Sarah has been creating a beautiful masterpiece.
It's great battle map. I like. So these those 4 circles that are kind of on the outside, are those going to be like the lodestones that have the
glowy things in the middle are the lodestones. The circles, I'm not sure what's happening there. Maybe broken clay pots or pillars. Maybe they could be pillars.
Yeah,
I could probably move those out so that they could work as cover.
Yeah, no, that would be good because they having some kind of cover would be really handy.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I really like it. I think that's going to be great. But I think we've kind of talked long enough, and I think we've created a cool encounter that is going to be a lot of fun to run at some point and a lot of fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who are still watching, which might actually just be me and Feargus, but
I think it is. I think we always end up being the last 2.
Yeah, that view count went down quite quickly on this one. But anyone who is watching this or anyone who comes back to watch it later, thank you for watching and joining us. We are still working towards our goal of reaching 100 followers on Twitch. Currently sitting at 94, so we're 6 away. And when we do get to 100, we will be releasing a special one-off episode of this show, tackling something that we have not tackled before on this show, which is going to be super fun. So if you are enjoying this, please follow us and show your support, because we really want to get this content out to everyone. We have a bunch of events going on the website at the moment, which are going to be for next month, which are really great.
Do you want to plug the GMA?
And we've also got Games Masters Academy starting up again next week, which I have run once already and have now reworked, and I'm going to be running again. And if you would like to purchase a seat in the GM's Academy, either for the full 8-week course or for individual sessions, you can head over to wayfarersleague.com and click on the tab that says GM's Academy and book your seats in there. There is going to be a lot of really cool stuff in that, and it's going to teach people all the skills and knowledge that they need to run games for themselves. And last time we ran it, got some really great responses and feedback, so looking forward to doing it again. What else have we got coming up? On Sunday, I will be doing the next episode of Behind the GM Screen, which I will be building up I will be starting to kind of build up a roster of NPCs for the campaign, for particularly the first arc of the campaign that I'm looking to run there. For those who are unfamiliar, Behind the GM Screen, I do a stream every other Sunday where I am preparing to run a campaign of Shadowrun, and I am showing the audience my process and how I prep for a campaign. So if that is of interest to you, come along and check that out as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much.